here's Artist Confidential host, George Taylor Morris.
That voice. The one we're going to hear this time, I've seen described as pure and evocative, one that fills you with wonder with its range and emotion. Really, it's one of those singing voices you can identify almost immediately and know who it is just by the sound. And even while you're listening and realize sometimes the lyrics are in another language, you understand that song all the same. I think we all went through this with our guest today and continue to be amazed at his talent and his ever-emerging story. And he's got some good stories to tell. So please give a warm XM welcome to Josh Groban.
Wow. George.
Welcome to XM.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here. Thanks for showing up today.
What was that when you walked in? Is that just kind of the normal hello that people give to you when you're like going to the diner?
I think, a good representation of the energy and the support that the fans have shown in the last few years. They're remarkable, and I'm nervous, and I'm often nervous, so their enthusiasm helps me quite a bit.
I'm sure they'll want to get up at some point and ask you those daring questions you've been dying to answer all day long. So here we are. You've got another #1 album.
I really had to have my arm twisted just a bit to do this album. I had been asked by my record label, by my producer David Foster, by the fans who've been dying for a Christmas album forever. I've kind of dipped my feet in those waters a little bit. We had done a couple of Christmas songs. Both had been really successful. We did a song for the movie Polar Express. It was nominated for an Oscar, and then we did another one that was all over the radio called Oh Holy Night. And so it just felt right. I wanted to get a couple of things out under my belt first. I wanted to explore some more original things before I decided to do something that was very, very simple. The Christmas album was very simple for us to do. It was very much just finding the songs that were our favorites this time of year, and try to rework them a little bit, do some interesting things with them, but at the same time not overthink them, just sing beautifully.
Are these songs that you sang when you were a kid with your family? And
absolutely. Christmas was always big in our house. I mean, we did it up, and it was always the time of year when we were all together, whether we had stress from school or travel or whatever else. That was the time of year when the house just smelled amazing and great music was playing around the house. And so that's the cool thing about these songs is that whether you're into Christmas music or not, they evoke kind of an emotion and a feeling about that time of year, and so in that way, even though we had to sing them in June, it allowed us to kind of get back into that spirit.
You sang them in London too, didn't you? Do
we did, yeah. We did them at Abbey Road in London, which was a huge honor for me and a great thrill. And anytime, you're doing the demos all over the place, and then all of a sudden you find yourself in that room, and the history of it, and then of course working with the London Symphony brings you to a whole new level, and just the color that they bring to any project is phenomenal.
The first time I heard you, I think this might be echoed by others who've had this same experience. You were on some daytime TV show. It could have been Ellen or somebody, I guess, and I was in the other room. I didn't have any idea who you were, and I heard you sing, and it kind of went on for a little bit, and I had to walk around the corner to see what was going on. Because you have an extraordinary voice. You stand out beyond almost anyone if you're listening to a lot of music. You really are unique that way. But what I think most fans find compelling about what you do is you really live the songs that you sing. You really seem to believe in what you're doing time after time. And that can't be an easy thing to do as you go on unless you set your mind to it. And I want to know kind of the process that you go through for that.
Well, I mean, it's an interesting question, and for me, whenever you start with a blank canvas of a new album, I have just recently, within the last two albums, really gotten into songwriting. It's something that I've loved since I was a kid. I'd always done it, but the responsibility sometimes and the burden about having a voice, I guess, that's a little more classical sounding or a little more open and big sounding is that people just want to give you songs to sing. People just want to hear you sing the classic, or they want to hear you sing, whatever suits that part of you, which is one of the things that I love to do. As I've started writing more, and as I've added that as to part of what I do, when I find a song, whether I've written it or not, it has to be something that I could sing 1,000 times and still feel it.
I imagine it takes a while to get good at it, but you've been doing it for a long time. You've become pretty accomplished at writing.
Well, only 6 years. I mean,
writing at the piano, though. You've been playing piano for longer than that.
Well, I have. I mean, I'm completely self-taught. I mean, the piano was a way before I knew I could sing for me to kind of explore and to express myself, and so it was a hobby. When I made my first album, it was still a hobby. When I made my second album and did the Closer tour, it became something that I played a little bit on stage. And as I've kind of gotten more into it, I've enjoyed playing it more as part of my thing. And so, anyway, this is February song.
So now, can you do a little Jerry Lee Lewis for us, please?
No, I don't know.
You ever seen him?
No, well, on TV, never live.
Yeah.
No.
Safer, just watching him on TV. Anytime.
Kick the stool over. Yes.
Do you do you must do warm-ups before you go out and do shows of some kind? I mean, do you have a whole thing that you go through?
I have a pretty extensive warm-up routine before I go on stage. I mean, I'll get to the venue. I'll wake up at 2 in the afternoon, as I did today, because I had Good Morning America yesterday, which was at 4:30 a.m. call time, and so when that happens, you are just dazed, and you just decide to just hibernate the whole rest of the day. So that's been me today, and but on the bus, I mean, we're so high from a show. We get off stage, and we're just all so pumped that we'll get on the bus and watch other concert DVDs, and we'll have Guitar Hero Wars and things like that, and
yeah, who wins that game?
Yeah, my guitarist, Tarek. Yeah. Playing guitar for real actually does help. Guitar Hero, and I'm actually, I can't play a note on a real guitar. And I'm actually really pretty good at Guitar Hero. I think that it's one of those games where there was just a South Park episode that I saw where somebody was like, did you guys see that where the guy was like, well, kids, I can teach you to play real guitar if you'd like.
No, we don't play Guitar Hero. That's how we want to play.
Oh, all right, okay. And that's us, on the bus. We just basically, no real instruments, just plastic buttons.
We do have a room full of your fans here. Hi.
Yeah. Hi, we do. Hi there.
Hi, Josh. My name is Carla.
Hi, Carla.
I was wondering, for your next album that we're all waiting for, what artists are you really planning on collaborating with?
So on the next album, I would like to keep working with people like Marius DeVries and David Foster and Imogen Heap and people that I've written with in the past. But at the same time, I'd really like to be open about who might be very different that I might not expect. Sometimes the most unexpected collaborations are also very much the most rewarding for me.
When you're out doing award shows would be one thing. Places where you meet a lot of different people who you would like to do something with. Does that, when you kind of get introduced backstage, does that conversation come up?
Yeah, but on the other hand, there's a lot of BS floating around backstage at the award shows. I mean,
no.
If I had a nickel for every time I shook a hand, we totally should, absolutely, It's never happened. Yeah. But once in a blue moon, you'll meet somebody that actually does say, look, I got something, let's meet, and so, but the award shows are just silly. I mean, we did the AMAs not too long ago, and it's a lot of fun, it's entertaining, and backstage, that's where the show really is. I feel sorry for the TV audience, because it's like, getting out the end, ding, boom, what's that smell? Oh, hey, Snoop, how you doing? How you doing? What's up, Josh? Before she's on.
Most kids, I guess, fool around on an instrument or sing in front of the mirror, when you're growing up, and think about being their favorite pop star. Was there a specific incident when you were doing that, when you were a kid, you and your brother were doing that, where you were planning on being somebody because you knew you could sing?
The videotapes my parents have vaulted up. I seriously, I mean, we were, I mean, because my parents weren't in show business, so we were never pushed as show kids to get out and perform. But we just loved it anyway. We would always, we would come back from a concert or come back from a show, and we would want to relive that and reenact it. Whereas, for me, I mean, whereas everybody else was just kind of coming out humming the tunes, going, that was nice, I came out of these shows thinking to myself, how can I somehow do that? I know I can't do that, but how can I, because I would sit in the audience and I would feel so, I would get chills, and I would just say to myself, if there's ever an opportunity in my life where I could make somebody feel the way I feel right this second, that would be it for me. And so, a lot of practice went into that when I was 4 years old. You have to know how you're going to look in front of people in front of the mirror. You get that comb, and you start. You mess around and you just have fun. And for me, it wasn't about singing. I didn't know I was going to be a singer until I was maybe 14 or 15, and I was discovered at 17. So it was all about the instruments. I would play around on the piano. I was obsessed with the drums when I was a kid, and I would play around on the pots and pans, and eventually got a drum set and terrorized my neighbors. But it turned out for the best. So yeah, to answer your question, we were always doing that kind of stuff when we were kids.
So tell me about David Foster, because I know he's played such a big part in getting you started and then kind of guiding you to where you're going. And there's not too many people who have mentors who really stay with them, I think, for a long period of time and grow with them, and he's helped you do that. So Tell
Yeah,
us
I mean,
about him.
David and I have a very interesting and wonderful relationship. Whenever you're that young, I think anybody that has had their big break, I mean, anybody that you ask in the business, whether it be David or Clive Davis or someone else, it's you've got something to offer and you've got a lot to learn, and there's somebody from way up above that says, I want to give this kid a shot, and they open that really big door, and it's your responsibility to do all you can to walk through it. And David Foster certainly opened that door for me. And I was 17 years old, and somebody canceled last minute for an event that he was doing, and he called a voice teacher that I was working with and said, who have you got that's young that can sing this song? And it was a show tune, and I'd been to all these shows and knew the song. And I sang for him, and it was the first time I'd ever sung in front of more than 10 people. It was for 20,000 people for the governor's inauguration in California. I was 17 years old. I came out in a really ill-fitting tuxedo. My dad had the shaky camera in the nosebleed seats, and it was such a great moment. I gave David a hug at the end of that show, and I just said, thank you so much. And I went back to the room, and I just thought, there's something here. I don't know what, because this guy's won 14 Grammys for, Mariah Carey type singers. I was the first person that, one of the first people I was working with at that time that had kind of more of a musical theater, classical voice. I didn't know what we'd do together, but 2 years later we started figuring it out.
Well, you told this story before, but I just keep picturing you filling in at the pre-Grammys show with who didn't show up?
Andrea Bocelli.
Oh, Andrea Bocelli didn't show up. That must have been tough.
Still am a huge fan, and big shoes to fill. I mean, I'm kind of a high baritone. He's very much a primo tenore, and he was sick. He was in Germany and couldn't make it for the rehearsals. And about 3 weeks after that inauguration concert, he called me up and he said, look, you were great a few weeks ago. I've got this song. It's called The Prayer. You may have heard it. Selena's singing it with Bocelli at the Grammys. Bocelli's not here. I need you here at 3 o'clock. I'm thinking, okay, let me think about it. I didn't want to embarrass myself, and that was just, I guess, immaturity and lack of experience, and certainly lack of confidence. Just saying, I don't want to go out there and humiliate myself. And I said, David, thank you so much. I really appreciate it, but I'm sure you can do better. Thank you, but no. Then I hung up the phone, and he called me back 10 minutes later, and I told my mom, I said no to him. He said, oh, okay, well, all right. Okay. And I could tell she was disappointed, And thank God, he called me back and he said, you don't understand. I'm not asking you. I'm telling you. Get your ass over here at 3 o'clock. You're not going to let me down. I'll see you at 3. Bye. No credentials, nothing. I'm at the backstage door with my dad telling this big bodyguard that I'm supposed to go in and sing with Celine Dion. They're like, yeah, right, And seriously, from that back door to the moment where I have to stand on the X and sing with Celine, everybody was like, who are you? What are you doing here again? I'm like, I'm here to sing with Celine Dion. What? Why? Okay. And I was terrified. And I remember my hand was shaking, and she held onto my hand to keep me from shaking. And she was so lovely back then, and still is. And it was one of those moments where we walked out of there. My dad, oh boy, they threw you into the fire. You sure did it. It was great. No, it was great. You get thrown into the fire, and you learn from those experiences. And David certainly, I think his greatest gift to me, besides what he's given me musically, has been that as somebody who started off very unsure of himself and really not having the confidence to fill my potential, he was the guy who just gave me that big push off the cliff and said, you know what, I know you can do it. I don't give a crap what you think about yourself. Go do it. And so, we learn that way.
To where you are.
This is...
You want to introduce the band?
I would love to introduce this incredible band. On piano, doing a remarkable job, Mr. Mark Stevens. On the bass here, we've been touring with him the last year. He's absolutely just one of the greats from Cameroon, Mr. Andre Manga. Also one of the greats. He's been with me from the very, very beginning of my career, and he's our music director and guitarist and sometimes vocalist, Mr. Tariq Kakoni. And also somebody that I feel I should acknowledge, somebody that we've had on the road with us for so long, and she's absolutely a virtuoso, and she always acts as our concert mistress, and an amazing soloist, and she's got a couple albums out that are phenomenal. On the violin, Lucia Micarelli. And a big thanks to this incredible quartet who's joined us today. These musicians I've worked with many times in New York, and they're great, so thank you guys for being here. It's so much fun. It makes it so much fun. For me, anybody that, has the privilege to work with amazing musicians on stage, it really does bring you to a whole new level, and it provides for me a playground where I can just go out and explore and have fun, And I feel like they've got my back every night, which is great. And I'm very, very lucky to have these guys with me. So yeah.